Many performers aspire to appear in a big-budget film. Some performers' careers began with breakthrough performances, although they may not remember them warmly. Even famous actors like Robert Pattinson confess they'd reconsider some of their most significant films. Actors are typically their own harshest critics, while major studios want profits. These celebrities don't hide their distaste for a project, no matter how lucrative. Some performers did not return to set halfway through their contracts because they loathed it. Others regret taking on childhood responsibilities and ask why. However, it may not necessarily represent popular sentiment. Join us as we explore performers who hated their famous roles. Gwyneth Paltrow. Film, Shallow Hal. Role, Rosemary. Estimated box office gross, $141.1 million. Jack Black's comedic venture Shallow Hal was supposed to shine a light on judging people based purely on their appearance. Black starred as the titular character, while Gwyneth Paltrow played the part of Rosemary. Audiences found the movie lovable, grossing $141.1 million at the box office. That's hardly a small change, but how does Gwenny feel about the time she wore a fat suit on camera all these years later? As it turns out, she's not all that keen. In an interview with Netflix, Paltrow said she found the entire experience humiliating. Paltrow might not be proud of her stint in the movie now, but fans still love it, even if it can be seen as slightly problematic. The actress's venture into health and wellness with her brand Goop in the years following Shallow Hal could be part of why she isn't eager to relive those particular glory days. Mandy Patinkin, TV show Criminal Minds. Role, Jason Gideon. Estimated box office gross, $1.1 billion. TV sales. It might go without saying that a TV show like Criminal Minds won't be about the more excellent things in life, but Mandy Patinkin didn't exactly think it through when he signed on. The actor starred as Jason Gideon for the first 2 seasons of the hit show before ducking out of his contract as soon as possible. Patinkin later said that he wished he had never signed up for the CBS show in the first place. According to an interview with New York Magazine, the actor said, "The biggest public mistake I ever made was that I chose to do Criminal Minds in the first place. I thought it was something very different. I never thought they were going to kill and rape all those women every night, every day, week after week, year after year. It was very destructive to my soul and my personality." Some stars don't enjoy working on a show, but Patinkin's time on Criminal Minds went beyond that. He found the entire experience so abhorrent that it nearly changed his career trajectory moving forward. Patinkin has never held back the valid reason for leaving the project and never looked back. Kate Winslet. Film, Titanic. Role, Rose. Estimated box office gross, $2.2 billion. The role of Rose in James Cameron's Titanic was an unprecedented massive deal for young Kate Winslet. At the time, she was still an up-and-comer in the industry. It was the part of the love-struck passenger that paved the way for her future career. So why does Winslet hate to look back on it? Millions love the multi-billion-dollar box office hit, but Kate isn't all that keen on it. While proud of her involvement in the movie, she told The Telegraph, "Every scene I'm like, really? You did it like that?" She is a harsh critic of her performance. Considering Winslet was in her early 20s when she starred as Rose and has since won an Oscar, it's hardly surprising that she might look back and want to give her younger self some tips. The actress has come a long way since then, and so has her technique. Mariah Carey. Film, Glitter. Role, Billy Frank. Estimated box office gross, $5.3 million. Mariah Carey has established herself as a bona fide queen over the last few years, but she's made more of a mark on the music industry than the acting world. In 2001, she starred in Glitter, a movie about a rising singer. Not only did the movie tank at the global box office, grossing just $5.3 million against a $22 million budget, but critics notoriously hated it too. Had the movie succeeded, maybe Carey wouldn't lament it as a particularly dark time in her career that took her years to live down. When talking to Jimmy Fallon in 2018, Carey admitted, "The movie almost ruined my life. It was a tough time when it came out. It was a whole thing. It was a drama." Mariah may be worth $340 million, but she knows how big of a misstep the entire project was. Sylvester Stallone. Film, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Role, Joe Bumowski. Estimated box office gross, $70.6 million. Sylvester Stallone has some truly impressive credits under his belt. He's Rocky Balboa, having starred as the boxer in one of the most lucrative franchises ever. Even though he's a champ in the ring, Stallone isn't proud of all of his accomplishments. 1992's infamous comedy caper, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, made Universal Pictures a healthy $70.6 million, but Stallone wishes it had never been made. According to an interview with GQ, Sly thinks it's maybe one of the worst films in the entire solar system. Stallone isn't entirely wrong, but the movie wasn't a straight-out flop. It didn't take a considerable amount at the box office, coming in at $70.6 million against a budget of $45 million. While the profit margin was minimal, it didn't do nearly as badly as some other movies at the time. Michelle Pfeiffer. Film, Grease 2. Role, Stephanie Zanoni. Estimated box office gross, $15.2 million. Classic movies like Grease are iconic for a reason. Filmmakers somehow managed to stumble on the right ingredients to create a lasting legacy, but it's not an exact science. That's why sequels are a risky business. If poorly done, they will go down in history for the wrong reasons. Unfortunately for Michelle Pfeiffer, she had a lead role in Grease 2. In an interview with The Telegraph in 2007, Michelle admitted, "I hated that film with a vengeance and could not believe how bad it was. I was young and didn't know any better at the time." Thankfully, it didn't hurt Michelle's career, and she went on to star in hits like Batman Returns. As for Grease, the second movie taught studio heads somewhat of a lesson. Even though Paramount Pictures announced they were seeking a third movie in 2003, it never came to fruition. Perhaps financiers watched Grease 2 in preparation and then decided against it. Channing Tatum. Film, G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. Role, Conrad Duke Hauser. Estimated box office gross, $302.5 million. For the last 2 decades, Channing Tatum has danced across the entertainment industry, making studios significant cash. However, despite how much money Tatum has helped generate, he has sometimes been proud of his work. In 2009, he starred as Duke in G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra. The movie was a box office success, taking over $300 million. But Tatum later told Howard Stern that he hated the entire project. "I was pushed into doing it. The script wasn't any good." Even though the script may have been slightly battered and bruised, Tatum's star pull saw movie lovers flock to the theaters. It may not have been Channing's favorite project, but G.I. Joe still brought in an incredible amount of money. A follow-up, G.I. Joe Retaliation, came along in 2013 and was even more successful than the first. Allison Williams. TV show, Girls. Role, Marnie Michaels. Estimated box office gross, not available. Allison Williams has become famous for playing roles of women that people despise, including the much-hated role of Marnie Michaels on Girls. Yahoo called Marnie the cringiest hipster we love to hate. Williams said the show's goal wasn't to make the characters likable. It turns out that Williams didn't hate her role as Marnie because of Marnie's detestability. Instead, she regretted that she didn't get enough screen time. Still, her 6-season stint as Marnie helped her land another role, this one just as hated, but more spine-tingling. Rose Armitage in Jordan Peele's Get Out. Jamie Foxx. Film, Stealth. Role, Lieutenant Henry Purcell. Estimated box office gross, $79.3 million. Jamie Foxx is an award-winning actor who has starred in critically acclaimed, career-defining movies like Ray and Collateral. While he's hot Hollywood property, Foxx isn't ashamed to admit when he's slipped up. Case in point, in 2005, he starred as Lieutenant Purcell in Stealth. Critics panned the Sony movie, but Foxx was still tasked with promoting it as part of his contract. He later admitted that he found it difficult to lie to interviewers as he was legally obligated to call it the greatest. Viewers didn't exactly flock to theaters to see it, meaning it fell short of its $135 million budget. Thankfully, Foxx's reputation in Hollywood didn't suffer much as he continued to secure significant roles in successful films. Zac Efron, film High School Musical, role Troy Bolton. Estimated box office gross, $253 million. Few movie series have been as successful as High School Musical was for Disney. The three-part hit trilogy reached its height when Zac Efron was still a teenager. The storyline made Efron a household name with tweenagers, but the star has found it hard to shake off the heartthrob image it gave him. That's why he's not all that proud of it now. He told Men's Journal, "I step back and look at myself, and I still want to kick that guy's butt sometimes." Although he's not all that proud of his stint as Troy, Efron is still considered a triple threat, much like his former on-screen girlfriend, Vanessa Hudgens. His latest roles include walking on the dark side in the 2019 Ted Bundy biopic Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. No one can blame him for trying to bury his wholesome roots when he's performing like that. Andrew Lincoln, film Love Actually, role Mark. Estimated box office gross, $246.2 million. Love Actually became one of the biggest Christmas movies of all time when it was released in 2003. With a great ensemble cast and a heartwarming story, the feature became an instant classic. A baby-faced Andrew Lincoln starred as Mark, the man hopelessly in love with his best friend's fiancée. While movie lovers thought Mark's feelings for Juliet were sweet, Lincoln had a slightly different take on his character. He later admitted that Mark was diving into stalker territory. Luckily, fans of the Universal Pictures flick didn't get that vibe. Lincoln expressed his concern about his character's behavior to the director, only to be told he could get away with it. Thankfully, many fans didn't get the same first impression that Andrew did when he read the script. If they had, the movie may not have done so well. Ben Affleck, film Daredevil, role Daredevil. Estimated box office gross, $179.2 million. Ben Affleck is no stranger to playing superheroes. He only recently gave up the Batman mantle and handed it over to Robert Pattinson. In 2003, he donned the Daredevil costume in a blockbuster action caper that took a respectable $179.2 million. However, as you might have guessed, Ben isn't a fan. During an interview a few years ago, Affleck said he decided to do Batman to make up for Daredevil. He did not mince his words, stating, "I hate Daredevil so much." 20th Century Fox probably wasn't thrilled to hear that. His feelings about the movie did influence his decision to take on the part of Bruce Wayne, so some might argue that it wasn't all bad. Affleck reportedly wanted another chance to do a superhero justice, as he failed miserably the first time. Charlize Theron, film Reindeer Games, role Ashley. Estimated box office gross, $32.2 million. With a title like Reindeer Games, you might think that the 2000 movie starring Charlize Theron, Ben Affleck, and Gary Sinise is a lighthearted animated Christmas caper. Instead, it's a hard-hitting action flick that famously tanked at the box office. Theron starred as Ashley Mercer, but while it may have seemed like a good idea to team up with Affleck at the time, it turned out to be a dud that the actress continues to regret. She has openly touted Reindeer Games as a bad movie. Critics agree with her. Theron went on to star in many other highly rated movies, proving that one bad flick doesn't end a career. Just 3 years after the release of Reindeer Games, she starred as serial killer Eileen Wuornos in Monster, a part that would win her the Academy Award for Best Actress. Katherine Heigl, film Knocked Up, role Allison. Estimated box office gross, $219.9 million. Katherine Heigl was rarely far from theaters in the 2000s after she found widespread recognition starring in Grey's Anatomy. Knocked Up was one of the first comedy hits she starred in, pairing up with Seth Rogen and writer-director Judd Apatow. The movie was a huge success, but Katherine now feels differently about the project. When talking to Vanity Fair years later, Heigl criticized the film for portraying women as humorless and uptight. She explained, "It was hard for me to love the movie." Rogen later reacted to his co-star's version of events when talking to Howard Stern, expressing disappointment that Heigl didn't enjoy it. "I thought we had a great dynamic. I was having a perfect time. And then I heard afterward that she didn't like it. Your trust feels somewhat betrayed." Emilia Clarke, film Terminator Genesis, role Sarah Connor, estimated box office gross $440.6 million. Arnold Schwarzenegger managed to create a very lucrative franchise with his Terminator character. There have been so many different spin-offs and sequels that keeping track is almost hard. In 2015, Game of Thrones star Emilia Clarke signed up to play the iconic Sarah Connor in Terminator Genesis. Financially, the movie was hugely successful, taking over $440 million against a $158 million budget. However, something didn't sit right with Clarke. She lamented the work of director Alan Taylor and was pleased that the movie was critically panned, so she didn't have to return for any sequels. Considering this was one of Clarke's first forays into big-screen stardom, her reaction may be somewhat surprising. The actress has since gone on to star in movies like Last Christmas, Me Before You, and Solo, A Star Wars Story, showing no signs of slowing down. Sarah Jessica Parker, film Sex and the City 2, role Carey, estimated box office gross $294.6 million. Carrie Bradshaw is up there with the most iconic characters to ever hit our screens. After Sex and the City wrapped up on HBO, 2 movies followed. Both were box office hits, though the sequel didn't strike the same note with fans as the first. Sarah Jessica Parker later owned up to the fact that Sex and the City 2 fell short, but she also quickly pointed out just how much money it made regardless. The financial success paved the way for a revival series, and Just Like That, which debuted in 2021. Parker isn't the only star of Sex and the City who regrets starring in certain parts of the franchise. M. Cattrall has since gone on record and said there were numerous issues between herself and Parker throughout the shooting. As such, Cattrall isn't taking part in the next movie.
If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon